So hey everybody, Brad here again. How are you? I don't think I've ever actually done a video where I haven't been sitting either in the car or at my kitchen table. So how are you everybody? This is what I look like. Here's my formerly clean car, my Honda Clarity. It is now March 17th, St. Patrick's Day. No, I'm not loaded. I hope you folks actually managed to go out and have a good time. I wanted to take this thing a little bit out of town. I'm about 20 miles from my house, give or take, to get some nice view. It's lovely out here. It's a beautiful day. Feels like spring. So ever the optimist, I wanted to get out of the house and actually try to enjoy some of the sunshine. Where I live, we don't get an awful lot of rain. Certainly get a lot of snow. You can see me standing on it, but beautiful blue sky is kind of what we're used to here. So what can I tell you about this car that I haven't already told you? You've certainly seen the 5 things that I'm not too fond of about it. A couple small new niggles, shall we say, that have come up that have frustrated me a little more. But again, nothing major. But I'll get to that. Obviously, you know the things that I love about it fundamentally. It's a great mid-sized sedan. It's comfortable. It's quiet. It acquits itself well in corners for the most part. Things like that, which again, you can see some of my other videos for that. But what I want to talk to you today about is really the economy and the costs, let's call it, of driving this car for the almost full year that I have. Now I'm about 40 kilometers, call it 25 miles shy of 22,000 kilometers on this thing in 1 year. Now I do use it for work, so that's why it's kind of a lot. The industry standard is about 20,000 a year. I think that's like 12,000 miles. And I realized that 6,700 of those kilometers, so 6,700 out of 22,000, I've run on gas, which means I've burned about, this is my 13th tank. It's actually almost full, so I shouldn't include it in that calculation, but I am. And for those of you who actually want to see down to the nickel, I have a spreadsheet, but YouTube isn't exactly, I thought we all went on YouTube, so we didn't have to read spreadsheets. So anyway, so again, as I say, 6,700 or so of that 22,000 have been on gasoline. I did the rough calculation. When this thing's in hybrid mode, it gets pretty close to what my Prius got, which is 5 liters per 100 kilometers, which I think is right around 42 US gallons per miles per gallon, rather. So that's awesome. So with that, and with gas being about $1.10 a liter here, that puts my operating costs at about 5.5 cents per kilometer. Again, I'll do some calculations for my Imperial friends and my friends south of the border here in the US. But where I live, I pay about I'm capped actually at 7 cents a kilowatt hour. Now this thing has a 17 kilowatt hour battery, so you can do that math. And that's of course presuming 100% efficiency, meaning that every kilowatt that I charge it with that comes out of the wall, that it actually goes into this thing. Now I'm sure they're probably about 5 to 10% inefficient, so you can calculate that there. And I did include some of that. Again, I'm very conservative with my numbers, so you'll typically do better, and arguably I have done better as well. But I just wanted to make sure that there was no way I could artificially inflate how awesome the mileage is on this car. So let me get to it, right? See, I talk too much, but let me get down to that. So it cost me, at that calculation, 7 cents a kilowatt hour for the 15,500 or so kilometers I've driven. Those ones are about 2.6 cents per kilometer. Now remember, I'm comparing an extremely efficient hybrid car, i.e. like a Prius, a non-plug-in Prius. I'm comparing those two mileages. So my other car, which is my S2000, which I also have a few videos about, that one gets about 10 liters per 100 kilometers. So clearly this thing is 4 times as efficient as that, dollar for dollar actually. So every kilometer you drive, every mile you drive is about a quarter of the cost ultimately, just for the fuel alone, fuel or electricity. So in that case, clearly it makes a lot of sense. I'm really thrilled with that. As I say, I've driven it almost exclusively electric as much as possible. Only in the last cold snap have I frankly used more fuel than I was hoping to. So again, boiling that down, 2.6 cents per kilometer, fully electric where I live, and it's about 5.5 cents per kilometer in hybrid mode, which is what you could expect in a non-plug-in hybrid. But all in all, for those of you who are interested, because I certainly was, I wanted to know what my actual calculated miles per gallon were. Not miles per gallon equivalent, because I don't know how to equate right now kilowatts into gallons. So if someone else knows that, please comment. Please throw me a link to how to do that. But this thing I calculated for the number of miles I've driven, which is again just about 14,500 or so. I've used, what was it, about 39 gallons? No, 79 gallons, forgive me. It worked out to 171 US gallon, miles per US gallon. So again, I'll say that again, 171 miles per gallon US in this car, notwithstanding the, obviously the calculation for how much the equivalent is for kilowatt hours. So that's pretty damn awesome. It works out to, I think it was 0.7 liters per 100 kilometers, again, taking electricity right out of the equation there. So again, electricity will vary probably, well, I shouldn't say that, probably as wildly as fuel does across the country, across the states. We pay pretty low here, $1 and a bit per liter. I know in Europe it's as high as 7, so that makes a big difference. Electricity can vary wildly as well. I get that that's a big cost factor, but fundamentally, mile for mile, kilometer for kilometer, this thing is at minimum, twice as efficient, twice as cheap as its gasoline equivalent. That is a hybrid like itself, which is a good comparison because everything else is equal. But compared to even my 4-cylinder Honda S2000 that admittedly has 240 some horsepower now, it still does, which would be considered a decently efficient car. It's more than 5 times as efficient as that. Again, if you want to see the raw numbers, let me know. I will actually put a spreadsheet up. How boring is that? But people like that if you do. What else can I say? I was going to say something else. Oh yes, of course. So that's the fuel costs, energy costs. What about maintenance costs? Again, 22,000 kilometers. I would typically do about 3 oil changes by now, just because I'm a little anal that way. 15,000 miles almost. You do them once every 5,000 miles. Oil is ultimately pretty cheap, so I'd happy to do that. So as I did the first oil change on this thing at 12,000 kilometers. Again, the about 7,500 miles. Simply because it called for it. But again, that was after the summer, so I had used predominantly electric power. It cost me 45 Canadian dollars for the oil. I used Mobil 1. I, of course, had some left because it didn't take a full 5-liter or a 2-gallon jug. The oil filter and the little crush washer thing was about $8. So, you can do the math there. 45 plus 8, $53. That was the first service it called for. I did it myself. You can watch my video on that. And also, along with that, it says you need to do a tire rotation and a brake inspection. So you can see I've got winter tires and rims on this thing. So what I've done, obviously, is when I took the wheels and tires off to switch them, I obviously inspected the brakes, which of course were fine because it's a brand new car, and with the regen, you use them probably a third as much, frankly, and that's a whole other topic for another video if you're interested. So that was pretty damn easy. That's the only service I've done. It is fundamentally due, I would say, for another oil change, even though 6,700 kilometers, like 4,000 miles total. Realistically, I could go that much almost again on this oil, but I'll take it out because, again, it's $53 and an hour of my time. So that's my kind of quasi 1-year ownership review without going into depth about the rest of the car. Please feel free to look at my other videos for that stuff. I hope you do. I love doing this kind of crazy stuff, so I hope you like the fact that I do, and I hope you would get something out of it. So thank you for doing that. You're still probably curious, though, about what the minor niggles are that have come up that have annoyed me about this car. Probably the thing that actually impacts me the most is the voice to text when you're in Apple CarPlay rather. This thing is great. When you put the right turn signal on, it turns on the camera that's actually just under over here. I'll actually, if I don't fall, you can actually watch me do this right here, which is fantastic. It takes over your nav screen, or your infotainment screen, which is fantastic. But if you're in the midst of drafting or dictating a text message, as soon as you put that turn signal on, it cancels whatever it is you were doing. So that's actually quite annoying. I find myself in mid, in my commute for home from work or whatever, when I'm trying to dictate a text to somebody, and then I have to make a right lane change or a right turn. I find that I actually prolong my time in wherever I am, or take another turn, just because I'm like, well, damn it, I don't want to have to read that text, which would be really ridiculous. So minor inconvenience. Is there a way around it? I mean, maybe there is. It obviously wouldn't stop me from buying the car, but I did find it's one of those things that just makes you go, ugh. It's like having the mirror that doesn't quite line up or something like that, that kind of mildly irks you a few times a day, right? So otherwise, what else is there that's kind of annoying? I'm forever filling that damn windshield washer fluid reservoir. I think I'm up to 4.5 fills in a 1 gallon jug. Like, honestly, my dad had a BMW that took 2 gallons of it. So this thing forever. In fact, I just filled it before I left the house, and by the time I get back, I'm sure the light will be on, because it's a little bit mucky here. So that's mildly annoying as well, but so it goes. What else can I say about it that you haven't covered in other videos? It could use a rear windshield wiper, or a rear window wiper. Now, I know that's not really common anymore. It doesn't seem to be, but it's such a big expanse of a window. You think that they might have one, but again, otherwise, it's got great visibility. Otherwise, even you've seen in one of my other videos, it's got the other little. It's got a small piece of glass between the rear seat and the trunk, so you actually look through the trunk to look through the piece of glass that hangs out below the spoiler where the actual Honda emblem is, so you can see just that much more below what would ultimately be a pretty high parcel shelf. So that's pretty funny. What else can I say about it? It looks like a cop car with the winter tires on it. Not maybe so much now, but when it's clean, it looks very dark, and the kind of inexpensive wheels on it makes it look like a cop car, I think. But I'm about to put the summers back on, or the all seasons with the high efficiency, so that'll be cool. I'm also curious to see where how much that improves my mileage, since I'm actually haven't really focused too much on it doing that. So anyway, rambling as usual. I'll not fall in the mud. Wouldn't that be funny? Here's my 2018 Honda Clarity plug-in hybrid. Just to sum up, 22,000 kilometers, just about 15,500 of that has been fully electric, and I get it cost me about 2.6 cents per kilometer in electric, and about 5.5 cents in fuel mode, only because, again, this is a very highly efficient hybrid when it's not running on full electric. So I think that's about as good of a full-on comparison to itself, or to an equivalent car with electricity, not with electricity, but with a hybrid, because it eliminates any other possibility of corruption of data, because it's the same car, just running in effectively 2 modes. So I'm going to kick the mud off my shoes here, my nice clean shoes, unfortunately not anymore, get back in my car and find my way home. But anyway, as always, folks, if you've made it this far, my name is Brad. I really hugely appreciate every minute you spend watching this video, and any others. It's a huge boon for me. I love cars. I've loved lots of cars in my lifetime. I'm really spun up on these ridiculously high efficient practical cars, because we all have to have one, and if we have one of these, then it leaves room for our toys that may or may not be quite as efficient, but there's a lot less guilt there, because if they only see weekend duty like my motorcycle does, then all the better. So anyway, once again, it's Brad. I really appreciate your time and attention, and if you've made it this far, maybe if you wouldn't mind throwing me a like, that would be fantastic. And please, if you're interested in this car and my long-term relationship with it, such as it is, and only going to get longer, please throw me a subscribe. That would really help me out a lot. So anyway, folks, all the best to you. We'll talk soon.